Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host Donnie, and as always, I'm joined by my Cowabunga Club co-host Deucy.
Santa Cruz, 5 p.m.
Oh, I like that. Now people know exactly where we are.
Yeah.
And at what time. How are you on this Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. in Santa Cruz?
Well, I'm glad it's cooled down here because, boy, it was getting warm today.
Yeah, it was pretty toasty, but it's not as bad as the Upper Bay area where I used to live, and it was like 105,
Yeah.
102. This is a little bit more manageable, but nonetheless, it's still kind of a shocking heat when it does hit.
Yeah,
But it's been nice.
Getting summer right at the tail end of summer.
Yeah, it's great. That's actually true. We've had a pretty mediocre summer until the end of summer.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what not isn't mediocre, Deucy, is more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, which we're covering today. So for our listeners out there, if you haven't listened to our previous episode from a couple episodes back, we covered the first 3 games in the Ninja Turtles sort of trilogy of games on the Nintendo.
The origins.
The true origin stories, including the Hudson River origins.
Oh, God.
Yeah, flashbacks to hell on that one.
Thank God all of these were much better than that.
These are, yeah. So the next era we're covering is really just the 16-bit era of games, which is really when the Turtles, they were already at their peak of the popularity when those NES games were out. And maybe like, early 90s was kind of like when they were going down a slope of sorts because like Power Rangers was coming out. And
right around the corner.
Things. Yeah.
Yep.
But this is when the games were at their best. So today we're going to be covering we're covering Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, the arcade and Super Nintendo versions. This odd port that's not a port called Hyperstone Heist for the Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
And then a fun title that no one expected, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, which was out on 3 different systems, and they're all 3 drastically different games. They're really interesting to talk about.
I didn't even know they were on Nintendo until recently.
Which is really funny because the reason I knew they were on Nintendo is because I'd see the ads and wanting to play it, and you couldn't find it anywhere. It was impossible to find.
Yeah.
And we'll find out how much they cost because it reflects how hard they were to find. Before we get to that, Deucy, what have you been playing lately?
So I got into, because of the collection that came out, I got back into Castlevania.
Yes, the Dominus collection.
I went into Portrait of Ruin because I recently picked up those, like I said, physical, and I was actually playing it on my 3DS. They are DS games, though, right?
They were.
Yeah.
But you can play them on 3DS.
Yeah, backwards. And so I dusted off my 3DS and I was playing them, and then, like, lo and behold, a month or so later, I was like, oh, well, this is a lot more convenient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've already gotten past where I got to in the physical copy, so I'm well on my way. I finally got into the second portrait of all of them.
Yeah, one of the things I kind of forgot about this game, like I knew it had the gimmick of jumping into portraits and paintings, kind of like Mario 64.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that they're all themed differently, and they're all sort of their own Metroidvania maps within each one.
Yeah, I was surprised. The first one was a little town, which was cool because, like, some Castlevanias have had that, but this one is an excuse to, like, be in the castle and then also explore other worlds at the same time. And the one I just got into was this desert map, which very much reminded me of Super Star Wars, the very first map.
Yeah, the first level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So I think I finished that back then, but it has the co-op gimmick, right? I forgot how it works with her because I think there's like a spell book she can equip.
Yeah.
Right?
Her weapon is always like from a book, and then like a sword will pop out, or a little guy on a horse with fire comes out, and then like her up attack moves aren't items like your guy. It's always magic attacks, which is really nice. And then like if you're playing as him, you can push a button and she'll do like an assist attack, or you can full on bring her out, and then there's 2 of you on the screen fighting at the same time, which I'm glad that it works so smoothly. Some of these games try these like co-ops for single player and it doesn't work out, but this one, they seem to have gotten something right.
Yeah, I do remember the co-op stuff being really interesting, really awesome in this game because you're right. Like, there's a lot of games where they'll kind of shoehorn it in, or it's kind of half-baked, and this feels like it's designed with that co-op stuff in mind, right? Like their different abilities and what they can do.
Yeah.
And also, like this one, it's easily the most unique Metroidvania, at least as far as the Castlevania games, because of that aspect of like the co-op. I don't think they ever brought back 2 characters that were like that, and they definitely didn't have like this, traversing through paintings gimmick to get like, because that's a great excuse to add some variety to levels. Like, you're not confined to a castle. Now you could do whatever you want across each map. Yeah,
for sure. But along those lines, I also got into Castlevania Symphony of the Night because I recently watched a playthrough on YouTube, and it was his first time ever playing it. Mm-hmm. And just watching him go through it, I'm like, man, he's already discovered more than I have in my like 15 times of trying this game.
Yeah.
So now I am currently, I have no idea like what the bosses are or the boss orders or anything. So I don't know how far along I am, but I do feel like I'm farther than I've ever gotten before. And even I've only had to look up where to go like once, which is surprising because back in the day I would just sort of get lost and then stop playing.
Yeah, you're expressing the same experience I had, but with Super Metroid
Yeah.
far from you, where I would get a little bit further each time, and I would be proud of myself for that. And then there does come a point where everything clicks, like you kind of get the flow of the game right, which is what I didn't understand about Super Metroid initially. But Symphony of the Nights is very much the same way, where it's like you'll get the ball rolling on knowing where to go, and then you just hit like a wall, and you're like, I have no idea where the hell to go, what to do. Because it also doesn't really tell you, and doesn't really tell you too much about what your abilities can do either. So you kind of have to figure that part out too when you're traversing through the castle.
I was running into a lot of dead ends that I knew I needed certain moves to get because I'd seen him playing it on YouTube. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to look up, I need the super jump to get through a lot of these like vertical places. So I was looking that up and I'm like, oh wait, before that I need the bat just to get the super jump. Oh wait, even before the bat I need the mist. And that's when I finally figured out, oh, that's where I'm stuck. I don't have the mist.
Or the wolf.
Yeah, I do have that.
Oh, you got the wolf
thing?
Okay.
But I was finally like so lost. I was like, okay, baby steps. And I'll start with the mist and go on from there.
It does feel a little obtuse at times, I will say that, because it took me a long time to beat Symphony of the Night. And we're definitely going to be covering Symphony of the Night in October. We're going to do kind of like a horror fest kind of gimmick there. And Symphony of the Night is one of the ones that Deucy wants to cover, and I think it's a fantastic idea to cover.
I'm hoping I'll be at least through the first map by then. I really have a grasp of things. I know it's 2 full maps, one right side up and one upside down. I don't know if I'll have all of that done, but that's kind of my goal for the end of the year. Just like I had, the Link's Awakening last year.
That's right. That's right. I do remember that.
I'll try to finish Symphony of the Night for the first time ever by the end of this year.
I would say definitely, I would encourage looking up a guide, because there are some, like the way you unlock the inverted castle, I don't want to say it's really obtuse, but you do need to be wearing certain equipment, right? And then even when you get to the inverted castle, it's really difficult because the enemies are super powered basically.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I would highly recommend looking up the shield rod glitch combo, because that will kill the last boss in like seconds. It does like I think 8 damage per frame or something crazy. But I would definitely encourage that because it gets to be pretty tough. Like the inverted castle is no joke.
Yeah.
Like the whole first, the standard castle you're already in is pretty hard, I would say. Like this game's not a cakewalk. And the inverted castle is just everything you've learned. Make sure you're very skilled, because you'll have a very hard time otherwise.
I was watching the playthrough, and like the right side up castle, the enemies were doing like 1 damage.
Yes.
And then as soon as he started in the inverted, he died for the first time in his whole run. And it was because like, I don't know if he was under leveled or what, but they just hit like a truck.
It's a combo of both. Like you're kind of under leveled at that point, and then you also have to make sure you have good equipment. And there's a lot of hidden stuff in this game too. That's also what makes it really great. Is like there's a lot of hidden items that actually make things easier. Like the shield rod thing, like it involves just tracking down certain items, and like you have to use a certain spell at a certain time, and it just does so much damage at once. And like I'm sure it's broken, it wasn't intended, but this game has so much packed into it that you could find stuff like that to make the game easier if you need to.
I know I've already picked up the thing called the shield rod, but I
keep it.
I don't have anything else like that pairs with it. I don't think.
Yeah, you'll get it's I forget, it's like a wand thing. It's like a magic wand thing. You'll know when you get it. I'm sure you will. Yeah. Anything else you've been playing? Just Castlevania?
Yeah. No. Then the other night, I finally like looked it up in the Switch Online store, and I broke down and got it because it was super cheap, and it's another simulation. One that I've been looking at for a long time, but I thought it was only on PC. Supermarket Simulator.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah. And it's so dumb and so simple. You're working at a little store that starts out as like a little corner shop, and then eventually you can expand. It's going to cost a lot of money, but eventually it starts to look like a freaking supermarket. And you just have to sit there day after day and ring people up, make sure the shelves are stocked. Your basic mundane tasks that you don't want to go and do.
Yeah, you don't want to do in real life.
Yeah. But this one, I'm just like every day, I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, look at this profit I made. let's see what I can do next. And I've already hired a guy to work my counter, my the checkout stand, so I can focus more on inventory and everything. And I'm just like, this is so dumb, but it's so easy to just like chill out to at the end of the day.
How far can you get? Can you all of a sudden be like a district manager or something and manage multiple supermarkets?
Oh, I don't think so. You can only market this one, or manage this one, but it can be big, and you can have like multiple aisles with multiple people working. You can hire stock boys, so you don't even have to like stock, or you can just
funny.
You can just sit back in your office eventually and make sure that items are there for them to stock and things like that. It's crazy. I don't know what the end goal is. Like, I guess when you buy the last store expansion and have as many workers as you can fill.
Yeah, you've peaked your grocery store with your one brick and mortar shop.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go beyond this. I'm rich enough.
Maybe you can, become the next Walmart and run everybody else out of business.
Yeah. Or start your own supermarket sweep minigame in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. The simulator games are really popular, and it always makes me laugh because we do hate like the mundane tasks of actually working.
Yeah.
But then we're playing these games where you're doing these mundane tasks and you're not getting paid for it. You're just enjoying the novelty of it because you could just shut it off and not ever touch it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then after the supermarket one, I've been watching another playthrough on YouTube, and there's a TCG card shop, which is basically run on the same engine as the supermarket, but it's all like trading cards, like these fake Pokemons. I forgot what they're called in this, but you can run that. You can sell dice for D&D. You can sell plushies. You can do all the same things you could basically do with supermarket, but like very niche.
That actually sounds pretty fun, though.
You can even like take your own like little booster packs off the shelf, open them up, and see if there's any rare cards that you can sell solo.
Can you just keep them yourself and not make money, so you just lose money?
Yeah, or you can put them on display and then sell them like
if you want to do it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like if you're a bad store and you might just open the pack and put it for your personal.
You have a little
collection,
binder. You could have your own collection.
Oh, that's
in
really
a binder.
funny. That's great.
I was thinking like, oh man, they should expand on that and also do like a game store like we can't constantly.
Yeah, they should
frequent.
do like a retro game store simulator. Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. And you have to like clean the stuff that gets traded in.
Yep.
Test it.
Make sure it works.
Yeah, that should be like the sequel to what was it, Arcade Paradise that we played for a little bit back then?
Yeah,
like a year ago. The next evolution is like Retro Game Shop, where the arcade owner now has his own retro game store and maintains that with all of his tasks.
Like you said, you can test them to make sure they run. They could be fake games, but they could also be little mini games.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun idea.
Yeah,
we could program that ourselves, but we won't.
Yeah.
Oh man, so I've been playing, like I said last episode, a couple weeks ago. I've been playing a lot just because there's so much coming out. And let's see, I got into Warhammer Space Marine 2, which is a sequel to a 2013 Space Marine game that I really hadn't played much. Like I rented it on GameFly, and it's basically just like a Gears of War kind of game.
What was that on? What system?
360 and PS3.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was really good. I think there's co-op. I didn't get to experience that at all. So I didn't realize like 10 years later they're making a sequel, and I got the PC version. It looks incredible for one. I posted a video on our Instagram, like a little story I put, and like just the atmospheric effects, all of like the like the reflections, like everything just looks really crisp and amazing in this game, and it runs insanely well. But this game plays like a Gears of War clone without the card-based shooting, but with hordes. Do you remember that game World War Z that you had played like a few years ago?
Yeah.
So it's the same developers, and they've expanded that engine because that was like all hordes of zombies and everything like that. So now it's like hordes of these Tyranids that are in the Warhammer universe. And it's just like so visceral and just so heavy hitting with the melee combat and the shooting. It just feels really good to play. Like it's just a great video game.
Old school.
Yeah.
There should be points to this.
Exactly. This game is just designed to be a pure video game, just to enjoy and just have that fun. It's great, which ties into the next game I've been playing, Astrobot on PS5.
Oh, God, yes. I want to pick this up immediately.
Oh, my God. So, yes. So this was announced a while ago, like a state of play thing. It looked really great just from then. Like I was really excited for it because I played Astrobot VR and I really liked that. And then the PS5 comes pre-installed with Astrobot. I think it's called Astrobot Mini. It's just like sort of a bite-sized small game, basically like a tech demo for the DualSense and the PS5. And it shows you all the tricks you can do with the DualSense and everything. So I already had that idea where it's like I know this game's gonna be really good, but I really didn't expect how good it ended up being.
Yeah.
So I'm only, I don't know, like 4 or 5 levels in. I beat like the first world. And this game is just absolute joy from end to end. Like the music is incredible. The graphics look absolutely insane. Like this is definitely one of the best games I think I've ever seen in my life.
This, from what I saw on the Digital Foundry, and then from what I saw you playing and got to experience a little of myself, like it looks like something Nintendo would make for Mario.
They would.
They would spend all of their time on the next Mario iteration. And this also kind of looked like a combination of Mario Odyssey and Mario Sunshine.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have or even like a little Mario Galaxy, because the whole thing is like you're rescuing robots across the galaxy. So you're landing on these planets with, 5-6 levels within them where you have to rescue all the robots. And it's the same idea where it's like there's a different gimmick to each world and each land and each level. And it just is freaking amazing. It's just such a joy to play. Like I've been loving the hell of it just in like the day I've been playing it so far.
That world that I played on your game, like with the water and everything, that water looked so refreshing on a hot day like today.
It's funny because I very rarely see you like get awestruck with some graphics, because for me, like there's a lot of times where like I was playing, Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, God, this looks just like I just paused to look at everything because it looks amazing. And then this is the first time where like I demoed the game for you, and you're like staring at just like how the water sheens and reflects off the robot and everything. And you're like, is the water like coming off his helmet? Like what?
I was like spinning in circles and I was still like spin drying myself. Like the water was spraying off.
The detail in this game is just incredible. It looks amazing, and like the control is just so tight. And this is just such a throwback to like the prime era of 3D platformers. Same sort of collectathon that like Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, you played back then. But this is such a great PS5 game. And everything it does with the DualSense too is really sensible. I usually hate gimmicks where it's like motion controls or the vibration haptic stuff, but in here, like everything's done perfectly. Like, I was watching you play where you had the like the monkey arms. And you have to like, tilt the stick or tilt the controller in either direction while hitting L2 and R2 to pull yourself up.
Yeah, you have to alternate. Like L2 and R2 control each hand, but then to aim your hands, you have to move the controller. And there are parts where like the little bridge is collapsing, and you gotta. It's luckily, like I said, it was intuitive, but you got to move fast and learn fast.
Yeah, it's really good it makes it really easy to adapt to, because the checkpoints are pretty generous, and the icing on the cake this game is just all the tribute to like the history of PlayStation. So like we were playing one area where we put like this it was like a hook shock thing, so you could cross the bridge like a rope bridge. And it was the end of the rope was a PS1 controller port thing, right? Yeah. So it had that, and then your ship is a PS5, like you're rebuilding the ship. So like one of the levels I beat has you getting RAM to put back in the PS5 ship, and then you find little robots that are themed after all these like PlayStation franchises. So I found a Solid Snake one who was dressed like Solid Snake. I found one that was like Psycho Mantis. There's one where he has a little console and a little TV set in front of him because he says like, I can see what you're doing kind of thing.
Oh,
and this game is just like the ultimate love letter to PlayStation's history, and it's like such a perfect thing to do because the PS1 is 30 years old this year. So this is like the ultimate game you could possibly make for the PlayStation. I think like if you own a PS5, you have to buy this game.
Yes.
This is like a definite must buy. If any game we can recommend, it's Astro Bot. It's so freaking good.
Yeah, I'm going to get this, and it is definitely going on the Game of the Year list.
Absolutely. Like this year's been really good for games in general. Like I would say like, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was probably my game of the year so far. Maybe Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, but now I've played Astro Bot, and like I haven't even finished it. And I just feel like this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the game of the year. Everything just feels so good about this game. It's such a fun thing to play, and also when in times of modern games where like everything's so dark and dreary and like this game is just so vibrant.
I was surprised it was so simple too. It was only using X and square, and then like the shoulder buttons maybe.
Yeah,
I was like, this is so simple and yet very like challenging. Still, it wasn't. It's not a baby game for babies.
It's taking like the simplicity, like what Mario was rooted in, just jumping and maybe a hit in Mario 64.
Yeah.
And just using those basic abilities and just like making the level design all around that. It's freaking perfect. All right, Deucy, I think we're ready for some Ninja Turtles, even though we've been having a good time about Astro Bot. So
these were just as perfect as that.
They were. If anything, it's great we'll be retroactively looking at these, and it's great to see what these were and what we're playing now, and like how some games now were influenced by these.
Yep.
So it'll be great. It'll be a good time. All right, Deucy, we're going back in time for this one because this game also has its own theme. The first game we're talking about today is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time for the arcade and the Super Nintendo. The arcade version released in March 1991 by Konami, and in August 1992, that's when the SNES got the port and was retitled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, because the arcade version was just TMNT,
Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
They didn't even call it TMNT 2.
Yeah, exactly. There's no subtitle on it.
It would have been fitting for the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
This was the second arcade one. I noticed it used a lot of the same assets as the first game. Even some of the same sound effects and everything, too.
Yeah.
Maybe a little to its detriment, because I feel like the Super Nintendo version was really a step up in quality.
I completely agree. Before we even dive into it, I think there's no way like I could say the arcade version is better than Super Nintendo. Like the Super Nintendo one is just like an optimal arcade version.
Yeah.
Even with its compromises. Like it's just such a great game.
Yep.
But the arcade one, when I was a kid, I only saw this once. When I was a kid, like my parents we were like in, I think it was like Lake Tahoe. I remember like my parents were in the casino because they never really been to a casino before. And my grandma took us to the arcade and I immediately saw Turtles in Time. I was like, well, decision made.
Last episode I was talking about Mini Boss, and they have Turtles in Time up there, which probably was the first time I had seen it in our arcade. Maybe the second, like maybe another bar arcade recently has had it. But yeah, for the longest time, I only ever saw the original Turtles arcade game.
That one was definitely more common. This one, I don't know what it was beyond the fact that, again, we just didn't have many arcades growing up. But this one was always hard to find. Like, I'd only seen it at conventions. Or, again, I saw it like when I was, I must have been like 7 years old. Because shortly after that is when I got it on Super Nintendo. I've told the story before in the WrestleMania Mania episode way back. Where I remember going to Kmart with my dad, and he was trying to sway me to get WrestleMania, and I was like, not Turtles, like I see it right there. And then he ended up getting both games anyway.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was in the arcades for the longest time. I always thought it was just Turtles 4, because when Xbox Live Arcade brought it back and re-released it, it was the arcade version, the 4 players and everything. And the first time that I did not go to the Technodrome and throw bad guys at Shredder's face, I was like, hey, what the hell?
Something is off.
Yeah.
You're right, because there are some big differences with the Super Nintendo version. And yeah, you wouldn't know between the two, because growing up, I had only had the Super Nintendo version. And it wasn't until I got much older and I played through, and I was like kind of surprised, because I already kind of knew that they had added some things to the Super Nintendo version, but I didn't know how big of a difference they would make in the main game for the arcade.
Yeah, there was like, if not whole levels, there was variations of the levels that were in the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a weird continuation. Like Turtles 2 did that on NES. They added an entire level and bad guy to the arcade version.
Yeah, I think this one was a much more successful conversion, though, just because the stuff they added, it looked like it should be part of the main game to begin with.
Yeah.
And it works really well. So the arcade version, it is 4-player, like we said. Had the same setup as like TMNT, the arcade game, the original one did, where each joystick was like colored to the turtle, which is great.
You had 4 different coin slots, so you could specifically pick one of the turtles.
Exactly. It was a really cool experience just on that.
Yeah.
Just to pick your turtle. Yeah. And this one, the story here, it's just like got a time mechanic here where Krang steals the Statue of Liberty, and then Shredder taunts the turtles, and he sends them through a time warp. And now they have to go through all these different time periods to get back to their home time period and defeat Krang and Shredder, and also, rescue April and get back to Statue of Liberty. It's a pretty fun story for 1992, I would say. This whole time displacement gimmick.
They were very obsessed with the time travel aspect. I mean, look at the third movie.
Yeah, they were.
Also, this game. This game definitely pulled it off better than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I couldn't understand like why Shredder just didn't keep sending you back in time every time you came back.
Yeah,
like
it's like he did it before. Like, what is that? The recharge?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Yeah,
I came back and now I'm gonna fight you, but also at the same time he should have just been able to snap his fingers again or do whatever he did.
Yeah, exactly. And but it doesn't matter. The whole thing is like it sets up this gimmick for the story, and it ends up being a pretty badass game, no matter how you cut it. So the arcade version, has the same levels as the SNES one. The SNES one, the Super Nintendo one, kind of changes up the bosses and adds some things. So in this version, like the third level, for instance, in the arcade version is just like it's called sewer running, where you're just like kind of going through the sewers on these little, I guess, hoverboard type things, right? Or jet ski things.
Yeah, You're on water technically, but you're never on the water. Not like in Turtles 3.
Yeah. And in the Super Nintendo version, like in the arcade, it doesn't end with the boss or anything. It's just sort of like a bonus area kind of thing.
Oh, that was probably the first time where I noticed, wait a minute, this is not the same game I used to play.
Because at the end of the Super Nintendo version, you fight Rat King, and he's in this like big old jet-looking thing.
Jet sled.
Like, jet sled thing, which I think they made a toy of back then. I don't really remember. Yeah. But, again, like the arcade version, it's still a really great game, but we're mostly talking about the Super Nintendo version here because that's when we played the most. And we're also, all these games, like we mentioned before, are going to be on the Cowabunga collection. So you could play that. It's a very solid value. I think it's normally like $30-$40, which I'd say is a good value on its own, but you find it on sale pretty often for $20.
I think just recently was on sale.
Yeah, pretty recently, I would say. So the Super Nintendo version, some of the big differences out here was it really leveraged the Mode 7 stuff that, a lot of arcades didn't really have the capability to do. So there's a lot of like scaling and stretching. Neon Knight Riders does this gimmick where like you're flying into the screen while you're changing lanes, like turning, Also, each turtle had their comic color as an option, which I remember as a kid, but I didn't understand that they were comic colors. You go in the options, there's like a swap. I forget what they call it in here. I think it's just comic. And they're like a darker tint. Like they look like they're from the comics, apparently.
Each turtle is a different color.
Yeah.
Which they did for the toys, too. And I never realized it was because of the comics, because when I finally learned that there were comics, I knew that they were all black and white. And then I guess there was like a later run of comics that added color, but then they made the turtles different colors, I guess, so that you could instantly tell who was who, even if they were smaller in the panels.
Yeah, and that makes sense because also I'm thinking about, I think the Playmates toys, they had a darker color palette too from the comics too, because I think I might have had one from there, but I didn't know it's from the comic. I just thought it was like a variant on the show, Also, the arcade's Pizza Power theme song was replaced by like by the cartoon theme in this version.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because the arcade version, like, it sounds fantastic. Like, it sounds like it's like an actual song. And in the Super Nintendo one, it's just the cartoon theme, which again, totally happy with as a kid. Didn't bother me. I
mean, that's what we went for. That was what drew us right from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, there's less enemies on the screen and they're less aggressive, which is a plus in my eyes for the Super Nintendo version.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's not, it's because it just can't support as many foot soldiers on the screen at once. It's like, I didn't even really notice that.
I was going to say, it sure doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, if anything, like maybe they spawn at different rates, but there's just not many on the screen at once. And I also noticed they're not as aggressive. And the weird thing is, I noticed that they don't chase player 2 as much.
Oh.
It's weird. It's like they're more going for player 1 to attack them.
That's funny.
It's almost like fodder. Yeah. And also the controls in the SNES version are a little bit better. It's a lot easier to grab enemies. Like most of the time you just like shoulder bash them and then grab them to do the slam thing or throw them in the screen.
So it's funny. I read that note from you and everything, and then I went up and played it in the arcade, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm throwing guys when I don't even intend to.
Yeah, it's really wonky in there. Like because I had beaten the arcade version recently, like before we were recording this, and it felt like the arcade game where it's like the hit detection was kind of off, but you're still hitting stuff, and I was doing things inconsistently, but it worked. Like I didn't have any problem beating it, but it just didn't feel as tight as the Super Nintendo version.
I also couldn't remember if you could throw them at the screen in the arcade, and you can.
Yeah.
In fact, that's
rare.
That's all. No, that's all I was doing accidentally.
Oh, really? I couldn't get the trigger. I don't know. Like once.
I don't know if like I was holding my hand down on the stick a little bit or what, but like. First of all, I wasn't even planning on throwing them, and then when I did, I wasn't planning on constantly throwing them at the screen.
Yeah.
But I noticed the Super Nintendo with its Mode 7 made the enemies a little bigger as they came at you.
They did. Like they filled up a lot more of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they used that gimmick to the one of the boss fights in the Technodrome. Like that was one of the coolest things when I was a kid was beating Shredder in like his pod mech thing by throwing the enemies at the screen. And I couldn't figure it out at first. And I was playing with my dad. And then he's like, oh, like if you throw him at the screen, like you see the glass shatter.
It flickers.
It's so freaking cool. I'd never seen a boss fight like that before.
Because these games didn't have saves or anything, sometimes I would only just get to that boss and be like, okay, I'm satisfied. I didn't care if I played the time travel levels.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw the bad guys at Shredder.
Yeah. So let's get into some reviews, and we'll kind of dive into like the meat of Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo. So reviews. EGM in issue 36, July 1992. This got Editor's Choice Platinum. No surprise. It got 9999. They thought it was the best side-scrolling action game on the Super Nintendo, presented with flawless detail. And one reviewer said it might have gotten a 10 if the scaling were better, which I thought was a really stupid nitpick.
The hell?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you expect it to be smoother? Like, I mean, I don't know what to expect of that comment. It's just really weird that like that's what missed the mark from him out of the game.
Did he mean graphically or like difficult wise?
I think I mean, to me, that reads like when you throw enemies at the screen or like the Mode 7 stuff, you know, like how it's always warped, like how it's scaled.
Yeah.
Maybe it feels like it could have been smoother. I don't know what he means. It was just a weird nitpick. That's why Coda's like, if the scaling were better. It's like, is that really a 9 versus a 10? You know, like.
I'm trying to think of like, I see here Street Fighter 2 was also reviewed.
Yeah, pretty big month.
And so I'm like, what were they paid to not give it better scores than Street Fighter 2?
10, yeah. For fun, the scores for Street Fighter 2 that month were 9, 10, 9, 10, which are fully expected. That was a huge game. GamePro reviewed it, issue 35, June 1992. These are out of 5, and graphics got a 4.5, sound got a 4, control got a 5, fun factor got a 5. They had a 2-page review that said the graphics were nearly identical to the arcade and are made better by the Mode 7 effects, which I totally agree with. Like, this game is gorgeous, and it's made even better by the Mode 7 stuff, by far. And they noted that it wasn't a very hard game on either difficulty, but said this was better than the arcade version, which GamePro's right on the money there, I would say.
Also, I would disagree with the sound, even though the sound is a really nice high score, and from looking at the score of the next game we're going to show, that is completely wrong. But this one, like, should be a 5 for sound.
I agree. The music in here is some of my favorite music from the Super Nintendo.
Not just the music, but the sound effects.
And the sound effects, yeah.
The sound effects of hitting an enemy and just twirling your weapon, like, stick with you your entire childhood.
And there's a lot of voices in this game, too, more than you'd expect for a Super Nintendo game. Like, I know there's less than the arcade, but there's a lot of voice work in this.
Yeah.
Between the turtles saying Cowabunga, like, all in unison, and each turtle has their own voice clip that plays.
Like, the turtles sound like what you would expect from the cartoon. Even some of the enemies, like I think Baxter talks a little and stuff like that. When I heard it on the arcade machine, which even in a barcade I could hear the machine, I was like, what the hell are these like Wish brand turtles?
I agree. Like, I think the sound effects and music are better in Super Nintendo. Like, I'm surprised that they thought so. Maybe it was just because of the time, like the arcade was just known to be bigger and better. But playing them both recently, I just think there's no way. The Super Nintendo music is just so freaking good. Like, it's top 10 SNES soundtracks for me.
Yep.
So GamePro loved it. Nintendo Power, our friends that we always think were, more than generous are not so generous. So they had a 12-page guide, which is really cool because that basically covers the entire game more or less. Like, they just had the usual tips and how to beat bosses and whatnot. These are all also out of 5. So graphics got a 4.2. I feel like that's pretty low. Play control got a 4. Arguable, I don't know.
That's low.
Challenge 4. That one, I don't really care. I feel like this game's difficulty is just right for the most part. Like, it's beatable. You don't feel like it's cheap.
Yeah, I've never really understood a challenge rating. From all the games we've covered in our past episodes, what gets it a high score? Are they saying that the challenge is right, or are they saying it's difficult, which is good, or like would a lower score mean it's too difficult? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's so like I never understood that in any magazine because unless they specify, like EGM used to put difficulty like adjustable, hard, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But with Nintendo Power, I don't know what that really means because even like when they have the little sidebar that explains reviews or the scoring system, it doesn't say what challenge is. Like, you're right. Is it too hard? Is it just right?
Yeah.
Does 4 out of 5 mean like it's good? Like, it's a good challenge?
Yeah. What I guess would a 5 mean that like it's difficult but beatable?
Yeah,
like,
it's really weird.
Which we know Nintendo was notorious for making it too hard so that you couldn't rent things. Like, that should lower a challenge score.
You would think so. So it's a little bit ambiguous. That's why I'm not so salty about that. But I am salty about their theme and fun score of 3.8 out of 5.
That is the wrongest score
Isn't
out
that
of
insanity?
all the ones that we've said so far. The theme is turtles.
How much better could you get? And like, honestly, what could make this game more fun? Like, it's, I used to play this alone. I used to play this with you. I used to play with all my friends. Like, it is one of the best co-op experiences on the Super Nintendo. Like, I love this game.
Yeah.
3.8. I was really shocked about that when I put that on the notes. It was really surprising that Nintendo Power went that low for this kind of a game.
Yeah, what the heck were they comparing it to?
Yeah. All right, so the meat of the game, there's quite a few levels in this game. There's There's like, I don't know, like 10 of them, and they all have a different boss in each one. So you start off in the Big Apple where you fight. First thing is like the first cool thing you see in that level is a giant Krang, like almost like the Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah,
thing where he's just like
sidestepping
the scaffolding. Yeah, because you're up on like a skyscraper being constructed.
Yeah,
and you just like shooting beams. Like that was the first thing I immediately noticed when I was a kid. I was like, oh my god, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And you fight Baxter, and then you get to Alley Cat Blues, which is like this alleyway kind of level. It's like your generic street level.
I was going to say, it's the street level that's in every Turtles game.
Yeah, and then you get to Sewer Surfing, which you talked about. The Technodrome, this is where, in the Super Nintendo version, you fight Toka and Razor from the movie, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
In the arcade version, you fight Bebop and Rocksteady, which is really different.
Oh.
And actually, I think it works better with how the Super Nintendo did in this version.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, so after you beat the Technodrome, that's when Shredder throws you in the Time Warp, and you end up in prehistoric Turtlesaurus. and in Super Nintendo, you fight Slash, who's like this prehistoric-looking Ninja Turtle guy.
See, that made complete sense to me. I have no idea who the arcade boss is.
Cement Man, he just looks like a shape-shifting quicksand guy.
Like Clayface or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really not a great boss for me. Like, I looked, because I beat in the game, I was like, wow, this is nowhere near as cool as Slash.
I can't even remember, was he like ever in the cartoon or the comics or anything?
I think he was in the cartoon, yeah. Or maybe at least, I guess he has to be in the comics at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then you go Skull and Crossbones, which is like this really cool pirate ship theme level. And in the arcade version, you fight Toka and Razor, and Super Nintendo, you fight Bebop and Rocksteady, but they're wearing like pirate gear.
Yeah,
which is really funny.
That was always my favorite part, especially when they would like end up fighting each other and accidentally hitting each other with their weapons.
If you damage them enough, it gets them to like this desperation state where they just start fighting with each other. And then like his whip like wraps around Rocksteady or Bebop's sword.
Yeah,
and they just like die. It's really great. Then you fight. You're at Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee, which is
Leatherhead on a train.
Leatherhead on a train. It's such a great level.
I always loved that level, especially the music.
Music's fantastic.
That song on that level is amazing. But Leatherhead was like probably the cheapest boss in this entire game.
He's really hard. I found a way to cheap him on the Genesis one though.
Oh, nice.
We'll talk about but he was really freaking hard here because he moves fast. He moves diagonally and like he has a wonky hitbox. It feels like too.
Yeah.
Then the next level is Neon Night Riders, which is this really cool like Blade Runner sci-fi looking level where you're on these floating hoverboard things.
You're on circular hoverboards that look like turtle shells.
Yeah, they're really cool. And you fight Krang here, and then you go. I love the name of this level.
Yeah,
Starbase, where no turtle has gone before. And this is sort of like you're in the spaceship thing. That's like Shredder's spaceship, more or less.
I swear, the little picture, before and after every level, they go spinning in through the time portal into the next level. I swear the one for this one is a planet with Star Trek Deep Space Nine next to it.
Oh, I believe it because that's that's where how it comes from, right? It's like we were from Star Trek.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that would be like their little Easter egg in there. And then the final level, at Starbase, you fight Krang. Like you fight him in the Technodrome in like this weird
that was another
ship thing.
Yeah, he's another kind of annoying boss.
Well, because he has like a slam move, and he also has he's a huge part of the screen, which also makes it difficult.
And he has those like little waves that turn you into bubbles, which knock off a ton of your health.
Yeah, he's pretty difficult. And then the final level is just Technodrome again, but this is just straight up boss fight with Super Shredder.
Yeah,
and he looks really cool in this because he looks like he's from the Ninja Turtles 2 movie.
Which I was surprised because I got to the end of the arcade one and it's just Shredder in that one. With a sword, with a lightsaber, actually.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
He's pretty easy, and oddly, he's like the easiest boss in the game because he only has a few attacks.
Yeah, he's even easier than I think Super Shredder.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So that was really it. That's really the big meat and potatoes of the game. It's one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. Deucy, what more can you say about Turtles in Time?
Yeah, it doesn't even matter that on the Super Nintendo it's only 2 players. The one thing I did notice when I was playing through the Super Nintendo version and then also Hyperstone on Sega is like the little robots with the single wheels that like shoot out the wires. Why in the hell do they take like 2/3 of your health in one hit?
I know. And they're also hard to hit because they're fast and zippy.
Yeah.
They're zipping around on one wheel.
Like they don't even do that. I don't even think they do that much damage in the arcade version. And they've definitely calmed them down in Shredder's Revenge. But the first time I got actually lassoed by one of those things and all of a sudden all my life was gone, I was like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
This isn't even, like I said, it didn't happen in the arcade version. So for some reason, they made a Super Nintendo boss a quarter muncher. And you don't have quarters.
Yeah. Again, maybe to combat rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff's definitely annoying. And I would say one thing that can get kind of to be a pain is like, are they in this one where they're the little saucer looking things that scoot around?
The little, like they have little 4 legs or whatever.
Yeah, so those enemies are a nightmare to fight. But, for me, like those are small kind of concessions overall. Like this is still a really fun 2-player game. I'd still say like if you're on the Cowabunga collection, like you should play this I mean, you should play the arcade version and this one. But this is like definitely better between the two.
You know, I was surprised in the arcade version. I don't think there were any Mousers.
I don't remember Mousers, and what I also noticed are the bosses are they're damage sponges.
Oh yeah,
they take way more hits.
To
kill in the arcade version, and that's immediately what struck me. I was like, I don't think I like this as much just on that.
I think doesn't the Super Nintendo version give you a life bar?
Yeah, they all have life bars, and it just doesn't take nearly as long to kill them. That's what also makes it better.
Yeah.
But again, those are minor quirks, and also like the arcade version was meant to eat your quarters.
Yeah.
We fully understand that.
Which I loved in the Cowabunga collection. Now you can just push start and it's like you fed in quarters.
Yeah, it's great free play.
So like you just mash the button and it's like Cowabunga.
Yeah.
Like, and all of a sudden I have like 48 lives.
Yeah, and then you're impervious. You're just immortal at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll do a couple speed runs before we move on to Hyperstone Heist. So there's any percent normal by Akisu Nico. They can finish this game in 18 minutes, 30 seconds. That's just get through the game. I don't know how fast they're doing that. I'm assuming they're using Raphael because I think he has like the strongest. He has the strongest attack power just by default.
Oh yeah.
But I will say the specials in this game are pretty terrible. Like they take your health when you use them,
and they take a lot.
Yeah, they take a lot of your health, and you don't do that much damage to begin with. Like it kind of helps, but not really.
It's kind of a good clearance move if you're getting ganged up on.
Yeah, exactly. But by then it's like you lost so much health. Does it really matter? Right? Yeah.
I forgot to do my test like I did for Turtles 2 and Turtles 3. I want to see how far I can get in 18 minutes.
In 18 minutes?
Probably a level and a half.
It feels like you might be able to get to like the Technodrome
Maybe.
if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If everything goes smoothly. Yeah. And there's also co-op any percent by DOS Postman and General Andrews. They can finish this in 19 minutes and 18 seconds, which not bad. Just 1 minute over the any percent, but I imagine that's probably down to like RNG or other things that can put your heads on there.
Yep.
But either way, like under 20 minutes for both games or for both runs, pretty ridiculous because I don't think I get nearly as far in 20 minutes.
That is nuts to think about when we used to spend like our entire weekend afternoons playing this game together.
I know. It's crazy because I think about that, like when people complain about modern games and they're $60, $70, I'm like, we literally paid $80 for Turtles in Time, and it probably lasts half an hour at best. You just don't realize it because we played it all the time.
Yeah,
right? And it's an amazing game, but when you distill to what it is, it's a half an hour game for $80.
If you don't die,
if you don't die, maybe we'll say an hour if you have to start over.
Yeah,
right? Maybe at best. So I mean, I don't care. I think it's. I don't really look at the dollar value. I'm like, how great was this game, and it's worth it.
It's easily. You don't even need saves or passwords or anything. It's easily just pick up and play anytime.
Yeah, very digestible. If you do want yourself a hard copy, a loose copy is $40, which is pretty reasonable. But if you want a complete copy, understandably, it's a little bit hard to find. It's $231. So I don't think I'll be getting a box for mine soon.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the box is.
I was going to say, unless it's only the box and they don't know what they have on their hands.
Yeah, the box, I mean, God, I imagine the box is probably like $100+ on its own.
It's a piece of cardboard. I'll give you $10 for that.
Yeah, seriously. Because I still have my OG manual. I just don't have the box. I'm not going to pay $100 for the box, though. All right, Deucy. So the next game is on the Genesis. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Hyperstone Heist. This was released December 1992, which was a few months after Turtles in Time. And this was also published and developed by Konami. So this game, it's really unique because it's...
Wait, this was also developed by Konami?
Yeah, they did.
That is surprising.
Well, I imagine they probably had a different team within Konami doing it, right? Like, it probably wasn't the Turtles in Time team. It was probably just whoever was on the Genesis team who could, sort of translate the Super Nintendo version to what they made with this.
They were sharing a lot of notes, but then they were like, don't copy our homework.
Yeah.
Make it slightly different.
Yeah, there's some cool changes in here, and then there's some that are not.
Yeah.
And I'd say... I'll just say right off the bat, like, I really love this game, but it's nowhere near as good as Turtles in Time for a few reasons.
In my head, when I was playing this, because for the longest time, I always thought they were the same game, just ports. That's how systems worked. When I learned that they were significantly different, even though they have the same graphics, and I finally played this on the collection, I was like, okay, this is cool, and it's great if you were just a Sega kid and all you could get your hands on was this. Like, you are set.
Yeah.
But don't let that kid play Turtles in Time because then he's going to be like, oh, man.
Yeah, because this is a really, really good Sega game. Just, it is what it is. Like, it's a really great Genesis game. But if we're trying to compare this and the actual Turtles in Time, like, it's really hard to recommend this over the other. But again, like when you're playing on the collection, like it's worth playing. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So it's weird. This one is based on Turtles in Time, but does have some pretty big story differences. So in this one, Shredder shrinks Manhattan Island during April's newscast.
I don't think. Do you even go through time?
No, you just kind of go through like different areas.
Yeah,
and it's weird. And then like it's where it's like it doesn't tell you're going through time, but you're going through the levels that were in different times in Turtles in Time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the story here is like, so he has the Hyperstone, which he stole from Dimension X, and he plans to take over the world with the Hyperstone, and Turtles must stop him. And in this game, there's only 5 levels versus I think it's like 9 or 10 in Turtles in Time, somewhere around there. And I think that's actually a bad thing because there's fewer levels and they're a lot longer, but they're too long.
Like the first level could be 3 levels because you're in the sewer, then you're up on the street, then you're back in the sewer. Like, why?
Exactly. It's really bizarre. So just to recap the levels real quick, there's New York City, there's a mystery ghost ship, Shredder's hideout, the Gauntlet, which is an awful, awful level. I'll talk
Lives
about
up to the name.
Yeah. And the final Shell Shock, which actually is pretty easy. It's just a battle with Shredder. And then the bosses in here. So in the first level, you fight Leatherhead. The second one, you fight Rocksteady. The third boss is Tatsu, who's, God, he could be really hard if you don't know what you're doing. There's Baxter. He makes an appearance in here again. Krang, and then, of course, Super Shredder.
I don't think... Baxter's not fly form in this one, is he?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, he does. He is. So he's just so annoying to fight in this game.
I know... it was interesting that they included Tatsu because he was like the right-hand man in the movies. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's also... I think I've gotten to him once, and he is a pain.
Yes.
Because you're running low on lives and continues by that point.
So it's funny because the first time I played this game, I rented it from the store, and then I enjoyed it a lot then. But I also remember my friend Nick, he lived like down the street from me. We saw the Turtles 3 movie in theaters. And then I went to his house and he had Hyperstone Heist. And I remember getting stuck at Tatsu.
Yeah.
Because this game's hard. Like, the levels are overly long, and really the default lives you have, I think, is 3 and like 3 continues, which is not enough.
Nope.
It's not enough.
And the bosses, I don't even know if they're bullet sponges because you can't string together enough hits to see if they're taking a lot of damage. It's like one hit and then you get smacked across the room.
Yeah. So the thing I learned with like Leather, because there are ways to cheat the bosses, I figured out like with Leatherhead, if you literally can hit him, I think it's 4 or 5 times, and then he immediately, no matter what you're doing, he'll just just run right over you to the other side. So I found that I realized like if you hit him 4 times and then you have enough time to move because he starts the next animation, you could keep him just going back and forth and not get hit. But I had to die to figure that out.
Yeah.
And these bosses, they're not as bad as the Turtles in Time arcade as far as being the damage sponges, but they have so much priority over your attacks that makes it really hard to fight just on that alone.
I felt like it was like Mortal Kombat 2 reading my inputs, because every time I was trying to either jump in an attack or just walk over an attack, all of a sudden he would hit. Like he would be standing there for the longest time not really doing anything, and then as soon as I went to move, he would attack, and I'm like, this is not fair. You're reading my mind.
It's really, I had that issue at the end with Crank because I did finish this. I had to finish it on easy because it's just hard on normal. And I did that where I was doing okay, like I had enough lives, and the thing that sucks is when you lose to continue, you start the whole level over again.
Oh, yeah.
And these levels, like we said, are very long, overly long. So it really sucks when you lose all your lives and you have to start that over. So at the end of Krang, I was like, I really hope I don't have to restart this whole last level because Shredder's after this. But luckily, when I died at Shredder and I hit continue, it started me at Shredder.
Oh, okay.
But Krang was just hitting me over and over. Like, I could not move to get a hit. I was hitting him the whole time without getting damage, and all of a sudden, I was just pinned. So, this game, like, I don't want to say I struggle with it because I think it's a great game. I just think it's just way too difficult for what it is. Like, a lot of the changes that they changed from the Super Nintendo one are not for the better. I would say the one big thing it does have is that it's cool that it does have a dedicated dash button that makes it really easy to dash.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you hold that button, and it is faster. Like it does move faster just because the Genesis games tend to run faster. But other than that, like that's really the only 2 advantages over Turtle in Time. On its own, this is a really great Genesis game. And the reviews will tell you that. So we'll go over a couple of reviews for this. EGM reviewed it in issue 42, January 1993. These are all out of 10, just so you remember. They gave it an 8, 8, 8, and a 7. The reviewer who gave it a 7 said the game's way too easy, which is nonsense.
What the hell was he playing on?
I don't know what he was playing.
I think he was playing on easy.
He must have been. Even on easy, it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
And he said it doesn't compare to the arcade version and needs more levels, which I think it does need more levels. I think it needs the 5 levels it has broken up.
It's weird. The arcade game should actually have these 5 levels. It's surprising that an arcade game has as many levels as it does because, like you said, it's a quarter buncher and people aren't going to be playing all the way through on that.
You probably spend like $10 at least to finish the game if you're lucky.
But if you know going into it that it's only 5, you might be more inclined to spend some quarters on continues because you're like, well, I'm at level 2.5 or 3. Like,
but also I guess the other side's like, well, how long is this game? Because I'm just keep putting quarters until it ends if I can get there too. Yeah. But I totally don't agree with it being way too easy. Like, I think this is just way too difficult. And one of the things that they thought was negative, which isn't really a fault of the game because the Genesis just doesn't have the Mode 7 capabilities. Like, they thought that it kind of sucked that you couldn't throw the enemies at the screen.
Oh yeah.
Which it's a fair point, but at the same time, like, it is what it is. I'm not too upset about that. Even though it's one of the cooler features on Super Nintendo.
I noticed in this version, I think you do the slam back and forth, and you do it a lot more often because that's all you have. You don't have the at the screen thing. But it's also very effective because you get ganged up on a little more in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think this one has more aims on the screen once. At least it felt that way to me. And beyond the fact they all just do more damage and they're just more aggressive in general. Like, this feels more like the arcade version than the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah.
Which, to its detriment, if it was, like I said, if those levels were broken up, I wouldn't be as upset about it. But it can really suck if you're getting a game over in one of these long levels. GamePro also reviewed it, issue 42, January 1993. These are all out of 5, so they give a graphics of 5, sound 4.5.
Nope.
Yeah, so I think the music in here is good, but I don't think 4.5 out of 5. Like, I'd say 4 is probably more fair to me.
I'd say, well, the music, for once, I'm not going to crap on it because you know how I don't like Sega music that much. I think it's really good in here. The sound effects are weak as hell.
They're really tinny and infrequent.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Your hits feel so soft. I'm like, am I hitting the foot soldier? Like, is he getting damaged? Like, there's just no oomph behind it.
You're right. Like, there's no impact to them. And also, I will say these specials in here are worse than the Super Nintendo one. Because it feels like they're even slower and they do less damage and they still take your health. So I almost never used it in this playthrough because lives were so precious, even with 5 of them.
Yeah. I feel like the turtle voices were a little more, I don't know, higher, or
They are. They're tinnier.
Yeah, a little more annoying about them.
Yeah, they're a little tinnier, a little bit more high-pitched, and definitely more muffled because it was the Genesis.
This would be the 3.8 that Nintendo Power used. This was what I would put it on.
That's fair. I'd say 3.8 out of 5. Yeah, that's totally fair. I think that's reasonable. Control of 5, I think I agree with that because there's no issues with this. Like, it works perfectly. It's a great beat 'em up with Control.
Yeah, I don't feel like any of my inputs were eaten or anything.
Yeah, everything was really nice and tight.
Yeah.
And fun factor 4.5, which I agree with. Like, despite my issues with the difficulty, this is such a fun game.
Yeah, you can still do co-op. You'll still have a great time doing 2-player with a friend, and the fun factor will only go down as much as you die.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, again, like it's I'm surprised that even the Cowabunga collection doesn't have like it has a level select code that you can unlock in the game, and also has level select from the Cowabunga collection. So I guess really, like, if you really want, you get game over, you could start from the level you died at.
Oh yeah.
But I'm surprised there isn't like an infinite lives thing, or some other way to like get infinite continues or something, or some checkpoint thing. Granted, you can do save states, but those only help you so much when you're low on health to begin with, So GamePro's review, they really had high praise for the graphics and animation with the detailed backgrounds. They noted it can be pretty difficult. Complete opposite of what the EGM reviewer said.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So again, GamePro right on the money with their review. And they really didn't call out anything negative. Like, they just didn't even try to compare it to Turtles in Time. Like, they just kind of... the review is really self-contained, relative to Genesis. Because also, I'd imagine, like, most people, if you're reading a Genesis review, you probably have a Genesis, so you don't really care how it compares to Turtles in Time, because you probably would get Turtles in Time if you could,
You might also think, because of these 2 different titles, you might think they're 2 different games.
That's also fair, and really they are, like, for the most part, like, as good as this game looks, it just doesn't have the same graphical detail as the Super Nintendo one, like the pirate ship level. Did you get to the pirate ship level? I think it was like the 2nd level.
I think I did, not on the recent playthrough, but I have gotten there before.
Yeah, so... in the Genesis one, it looks fine for Genesis. I hate saying that. It's almost like a disclaimer, like justifying it. But when you compare it to the Super Nintendo version, like, there's no scrolling background with like the ocean that they're on. Like, there's no bobbing of the ship.
Oh,
it's really static, and the colors just look really muted and not as good.
I didn't even notice that because you're thrown into action pretty quick in all of these levels.
Yeah. So again, like, The Genesis one is just a really great Genesis game, but back in the day, I would have chosen Time over this one, unfortunately.
God, you know what I noticed in this one though? It's in the first level. You're in the sewers, and every sewers level in a Turtles game has those weird spiky bars that come slamming down.
I hate those things. Yeah.
In Sega, for some reason, it's like they're on blast processing compared to every other version, and they're just like bang, bang, bang. And I'm like, how do you get through those?
I got stuck in one of those too because I got hit by one and I rolled back into the other because the timing of it was just coming out at the same time. I was like, oh God, like, how am I going to get out of this? So I was just like mashing. I finally did, but it was really annoying.
You're just dash and slide, go through.
Yeah, like that's I think that's what definitely kind of hurts this game is some of the stuff that just doesn't age well for it. Even with the enhancements of the Cowabunga collection, it just sucks. The difficulty is so high on this game. Like even co-op, I'd imagine it's probably a little bit easier. I don't think you're sharing lives or continues at least.
Oh, that's nice.
But again, it's like, if you don't have second person play with, like this is a rough time to play on your own.
Yeah.
But it's great nonetheless. So don't take everything we're saying as a total negative. Like you shouldn't play this. This is such a fantastic game overall. Speedruns Deucy on this one. There's 2-player normal by Jake Rock and Space Coast Gaming. They could finish this game in 19 minutes, 33 seconds. To me, that's almost more impressive than the Turtles in Time Run Super Nintendo because of how hard this game is.
Yeah.
And I know they're doing it 2-player, but that's still impressive to me. And then there's runs that are split over each turtle, and really they're all around like 22 minutes and 36 seconds, but it seems Raph in this game is maybe, again, he might be the most powerful or something because this runner, just let me get their name, I'm sorry. This person did in 18 minutes and 57 seconds. So nothing really, there's not a huge difference between them, but I mean, 4 minutes between Raph and the other turtles is kind of weird. I'm assuming it's because, like I said, Raph just probably hits harder. He doesn't feel like he does, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, it can't even be a movement thing. Like, I don't think his special is the drill. Like, it's not the...
No, it's like a side swipe kick thing.
Yeah, that's what he has in Turtles in Time.
Yeah, and it's not good.
And that wouldn't like make you move faster.
It did.
I have no idea.
Yeah, so again, good for them. They could be in 20 minutes legitimately. That's like on an emulator or real hardware, but it's a hard freaking game. Like no matter how you slice this game, it's a tough beat 'em up. It's more of an arcade beat 'em up than it is a console beat 'em up.
Yeah.
All right, Deucy. So now we go on to perhaps the most interesting part of this episode. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. All three of these are drastically different, and it's interesting also because their prices are all drastically different. So I just want to kick that out. Actually, you know what? I even talked about the Hyperstone Heist price. Let's go back to that real quick.
Oh, yeah.
$40 loose, $160 complete. So
that makes sense because... I mean, $40 loose is about the same as the Super Nintendo, and $160 is less because a lot of Sega games are still complete.
That's that clamshell.
Yeah, it's still complete these days.
Clamshell. Yeah. So moving back to Tournament Fighters. So there's 3 versions. Let's get through the prices now because they're pretty insane. So the Genesis version is $14 loose, $33 complete. Very reasonable.
I just recently picked it up.
You did, which is great. Like when I put this in here, I was like, oh, that's probably what he got it for. It's totally a great price. I would have bought that too. Super Nintendo is $18 for a loose cartridge, $100 complete.
I mean, I had that as a kid, so mine is worth a little more because I still have the instruction books. But
Me too.
I definitely don't have the box.
No, yeah, that's a lost cause, unfortunately. And most surprising, the Nintendo version. This is crazy. This is $201 for a loose cart. If you'd like a complete one, $1,380. It is insanity. So it's crazy. So these games were all developed and published by Konami. This was actually the last Nintendo game to be published by Konami in February '94. Again, that was like the last year Nintendo existed, really.
Yeah.
This is really the last of like a dozen games in general for that year.
It really was. It was right there with Mega Man 6, Chip 'n Dale 2.
All the heavy hitters.
What do you call it? The Crash Test Dummies.
Yeah, Wario Woods, right? He was one of the last ones. He might have been the last one, I think, actually. And then the Genesis and Super Nintendo ones were released around September '94, but it's kind of weird. The reviews I caught from here, like they're all kind of from like late '93, early '94, so maybe they had the Japanese versions they were reviewing. Because I guess maybe at the time, like they just wanted to get ahead of any review, right? So it's like they would import it, review it, and what have you. But it's weird. Like I was looking at September 1st, I was like, I can't find this. I know people reviewed it, but they did. So all 3 versions also have drastically different rosters and fighting mechanics, and that's what is very unique about them. And that will make or break some versions. And we'll go through each one. So let's start with the NES one. Did you get to play all 3 of these, Deucy, or did you play? Yeah, you did.
Just recently, even when the Cowabunga collection came out, I I didn't play any of the tournament fighters too much because I was very familiar with Super Nintendo, and then I don't know why I just liked the beat 'em up styles of all the other games.
It's fair, yeah, because I do remember renting the Super Nintendo one, and I'm pretty certain I brought it over to your house because we loved it.
Yeah.
It was a really great game.
And I don't remember if I asked for it. I must have asked for it for like Christmas or birthday. I don't know if you got it for me or if like my parents
It's
did.
entirely possible. That feels like a game I probably would have bought for you.
Yeah, it might have been,
you played it
actually.
and you're like, oh, I'd like this.
Yeah.
And it was an easy gift.
And my
yeah.
parents didn't usually get me fighters or anything.
That also would jive with what I bought you too. Yeah, that makes sense. So the NES version, this is really unique because the NES just doesn't have very many fighting games in general. Like there's very few. There's like, what was it, Yari Kung Fu? Like there's some really primitive old fighting games, if you want to call them that. But
There's the Black Box Kung Fu, but I think that was a side scroller.
it might have been,
Yeah.
But I think there's Yari Kung Fu, which is like a literal side-scrolling
Oh wow.
fighting game where it's like it's really clunky and awful. But my point is that really fighting games are almost impossible on the Nintendo. It's just because of the hardware limitations, only 2 buttons, and the graphical capabilities. There's only so much you can do. So the fact that they actually made a fighting game for the Nintendo is impressive in its own right. So everything we might say about this game, like there's gonna be some negatives, but it's also I think you could forgive a lot of it for being on the Nintendo.
Yeah, I played this recently and I didn't mind it. I kept in mind that it was a Nintendo game. I got my ass handed to me, but at the same time, I could see how it worked still. Like
Yeah.
there's that little ball thing that comes along. That's your fireball move, no matter who you're playing as. Everybody does have a special move that you can pull off, but it's kind of clunky. It's like the original Street Fighter 1 when it comes to how frequently you can actually do the move. But I was impressed with all the turtles look different and all the characters, I would say all the characters play different too.
They're pretty distinct and they all have a
Yeah.
different style. So just to kind of recap the mechanics of this, so the single player mode has 6 fights. It's you fight the 3 turtles and then you fight Casey Jones and then Hothead and Shredder. So one thing I'll go back on actually is I remember the ads when I was a kid for this. Like each version was usually like one page after another if they weren't on the same page. And the covers for these are all really unique and they would display a sort of character that was only in that game. So one of the reasons I wanted to play this is because there's Hothead on there. It was like this like Chinese dragon looking guy, and I was like, that guy looks awesome. He's not in any other version. So he's in here and he's the boss, and there's also Shredder. He's like the final boss, and there's also a 2-player mode, which is a versus mode. And then, like Deucy said, in the middle of a match, Splinter can drop an orb, and you just do a core circle forward plus B, and it's almost like a super attack thing. It does a ton of damage. I think they call it an ultra attack in this game. And there's actually 7 characters in this game as a roster. So there's 4 turtles, and you can also play as Casey Jones, Hothead, and Shredder. So it's just basically what you do in a single player game. Each character has a couple of moves. It's usually like, I think it's like a core circle thing or like a charge back and forward kind of move.
Yeah.
The graphics, like the backgrounds aren't detailed at all. They're usually like what you say, like a black screen. There's not really much detail.
With some outlines of something. Like in one level, I think you're fighting in a bar.
Yeah. It's really weird. The sprites are obviously small because it's the Nintendo, and you're going to see some flicker in here, but I think 2-player would be a lot more fun than single player because single player can be kind of broken. Like I did finish this to get the achievement.
Oh, nice.
But you have to cheap it out. Like there's no legitimate fighting game here, But let's get into some reviews, Deuce, before we dive into our thoughts on this one. So EGM reviewed this in issue 52, November 1993. This was like a really small sidebar review. Like these are the games that they would put that, they just didn't have much space for and they weren't notable. So it's weird. Like they gave it 5 scores and these were out of 10. They gave it a 7, 7, 7, 7, and a 6. They didn't think an 8-bit version needed to exist, but they appreciate it wasn't as bad as expected, which I think it's a fair summation of the game.
Yeah.
Like this won't win any awards, but it's a fighting game on Nintendo. And they thought there was a nice amount of special moves, but no, there was sprite flickering and graphical issues. Game Pro review in issue 53, December 1993, and they gave the graphics a 3.5 out of 5, sound a 3, control a 4, which I don't know. I guess that's probably fair. 3.5 maybe.
I would kind of swap the control and the sound.
Yeah,
I thought it sounded okay.
Yeah,
Like,
it sounds pretty solid.
It sounded like Turtles still.
Fun factor got a 4, and they thought there was a serviceable amount of moves, but they actually erroneously mentioned there was 3 kicks and 3 punches, which is weird. I don't know if they took that from the Super Nintendo review.
Yeah, copy and paste.
I guess copy and paste that paragraph. I don't know, it was weird. And they thought the graphics were decent for a Nintendo game, but the dark backgrounds aren't great. and the sound effects are best kept at a low volume. I don't think they're that bad.
Yeah.
I'd say they're fine for what they are. And Nintendo Power didn't review this. I couldn't find anything in Nintendo Power reviewing this. They did a small guide in issue 54.
That's funny.
Yeah, but they didn't even care to review this at all. They're just like, oh, whatever, you know? But overall, you know, Deuce, I guess what can you surmise about the Nintendo version of Tournament Fighters? Like, for me, it is what it is, but it's not anything you'll go back to after you play it.
Yeah, there's like... It's great that it's on this collection because of the price tag we already announced, but like... I'm sure back then there was no way we were going to play this even if we could find it because we had already played the Super Nintendo version. It was more readily available at Blockbuster or just once we owned it. Yeah, there was no reason for it. It was a weird novelty. It's kind of like those Street Fighter 2 D-makes that people have made recently.
It really is, because it's a version you wouldn't expect to exist. And I just, again, like, I don't know anyone who would have gotten this back then. Like, I didn't know any friends who had it. This was one of the most obscure games as far as I knew when I was a kid. You know, like, it never existed, even though I'd see it in magazines all the time.
I'm also surprised, we didn't mention, but on the covers, they have the turtle faces. And they have, like, Super Nintendo has Donatello, Nintendo had Leonardo, and Sega had Raph.
Mm-hmm.
How was there not a Game Boy or Game Gear version with Michelangelo?
Yeah. Actually, can you imagine if they made a Game Gear version like the Power Rangers game?
Yes.
That would have been really cool.
Man.
That would have been a great idea. Just thinking about that now. Yeah. Yeah, again, so it's weird. It's like that. You're right. Like, they could have made a Game Boy or Game Gear version instead of a Nintendo version. Like, I guess maybe there was
or
a
on
contract.
Top of that one. I mean, it would have been the same thing. 2 buttons.
It really would have been. Yeah. But, you know, to me, this is significant only because it's a fighting game on the NES. That's really why I'd say you should play it, because it's a unique game that was released in the last year the NES was around, and it's in a genre that really wasn't represented on the NES because it was just most of them weren't good.
Yeah,
you can't have a fighting game on the Nintendo.
And if you happen to find this at a garage sale, lowball the person.
Yeah, well, if it's at a garage sale, I imagine they're lowballing themselves anyway.
Yeah.
So pick it up. Yeah. All right, so let's get to the Super Nintendo version, which, to me, I'm just going to say it, and I think you fully agree with me here, this is by far the best version of the three here.
Yes, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. So the Super Nintendo version has a 4-button control scheme. There's 2 strong punches, 2 strong kicks, and also there's an ooze meter under your health bar that fills up whenever you do, like you block, you do moves, whatever else. And you get like a super move out of that by hitting both strong kick and strong punch, which is really cool looking because each character has a unique one. Some are more powerful than others, but it's almost like it's its own super move. Kind of before even, I think this would have been before Super Turbo did it. I can't really recall.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's one of the first instances of super moves in a fighting game that I can remember. And this one's cool because there's a story mode where you're just using you're in a turtle blimp and you're traveling the U.S. to rescue Splinter and April from Karai, who is he Shredder's daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? She's like the head of the Japanese or like foot soldiers in Japan or something like that. She's the boss in this game. It's cool that they have like a story mode, even though it doesn't really do much. Like, there's cutscenes that kind of connect to who you're fighting, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think she's the main boss because technically in this game, this is a cyborg Shredder. Like, Shredder has been defeated by you in the past games, probably in Turtles in Time, and so this is like sort of a weird robot remake of Shredder. And then Karai is the main boss because she's trying to get revenge on you. Yeah.
So again, it's really cool that they even set up a story for a fighting game because it wasn't common back then. And it works with the Turtles format because, like, you don't really need much story to connect while you're fighting these enemies or these bosses, so to speak.
This unfortunately falls into games of that time period where you don't even see Karai until you hit a certain difficulty level.
Yeah, which really sucks. I hate when games do this. Like, oh, you beat it on easy? You didn't get to see the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, come on, just please. This game's hard.
And this, like a lot of fighting games of the time, had, like, numbers for their difficulty levels. So there was, like, it wasn't just easy, medium, or hard. It was, like, 1 through 10.
Yeah.
And there was only a certain number range that started to show you Karai.
Yeah, beat it on 4 or above or something like that. 5 or above. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I could see if you put it on 1, you don't get to see her, but like 2 and up, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. Plus, I mean, it's a fighting game.
Yeah.
Like, what else? You don't need to artificially lengthen the game by adding a difficulty thing so before I can see the final boss and the ending or whatever. A one or 2 screen ending at the end of it. So let's go through the roster real quick. So this one has 10 characters. There's of course the 4 turtles. These are all characters at the time that I didn't recognize from anything. I think maybe Chrome Dome and Rat King.
Asuka is original to the game.
She is.
Yeah.
So we'll go through. So there's War. He's like this mutant, like prehistoric, like I don't know how would you describe his look, Deucy? Like he looks like a monstrous.
He looks like a bipedal
thing.
He kind of looks like a Triceraton. That's a character in the show.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's a little more devolved from that. He kind of crawls on all fours.
Yeah, he's really weird. He's one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse from the Archie comics, which I'm not familiar with at all. Like,
No.
I didn't know he was from there. Like, as far as I knew back then, these were like new characters to the Turtles universe.
The Archie comics might be where they have those like different skin tones on the turtles.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Asuka, who you were talking about, Deucy. She was an original character because she was inspired by Mitsu from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 movie. And, they intended, that character for her to be in this game, but the movie got such a bad reception that they decided, let's just make her an original character.
Well, and also, why did they just make her original when they could have just made her April?
I know, right? That would have made perfect sense, too.
Because in the Genesis version, April's in it, and it looks like Asuka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even her animations kind of look like it. Yeah. There's Wingnut. He's like this weird bat. Like he has a really awesome stage where he's like in a heavy metal concert kind of thing. He's appeared in many comics, and he's in episode in one of the shows. I don't recall him seeing in the show though.
Yeah, I don't remember him at all. I've seen him a lot more recently in the newer versions of the
I've
shows.
seen him there. Uh-huh.
And also in Shredder's Revenge, he's in it. I always thought he was sort of original to this game.
Me too. Yeah. There's Chrome Dome, who's like a mechanized Shredder-looking guy. He's really cool. Armagon, who's this mutant shark from the future. He's also in the Archie comics. And there's also Rat King. He's a boss. He's only unlockable for the Versus mode. And there's, of course, Karai, who's also a boss and unlockable for the Versus mode.
Oh, yeah, you didn't have a Shredder in this one, too.
Yeah, that's right. Shredder is in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Excuse me. He was a playable character. I missed him on there. So there's actually more. Reviews real quick. So eGen reviewed this issue 52, November 1993. They gave an 8899. They thought it was one of the best fires on the Super Nintendo with crisp and clear sounds, and they compared it favorably to Street Fighter 2 and were surprised at how great it was, which, they nailed it there, I would say. GamePro issue 53, December 1993. The magazine score the scan I saw didn't have scores, which is weird. So I don't know what they reviewed it. I'd imagine it's favorable, but it's really weird. The scan I found was cropped out for that. I don't know why they blocked it out.
Huh.
I don't think I have this issue at all, so we'll have to figure out some other way to figure it out.
Yeah.
Nintendo Power did review this, and these might be the most egregious scores. This was reviewed in issue 56, January 1994. So Deucy, hold on to your seats. Graphics 3.6, play control 3.3, challenge 3.5, theme and fun 3.8. Pros, cool graphics and neat moves with lots of characters. Con, speed and control of moves don't match Street Fighter 2.
I immediately hate that. I mean, if they're talking about Street Fighter 2 Turbo, yes. If they're talking about the original Street Fighter 2, this is way faster than that.
It is. And this is, honestly, like, this is such a competent fighting game.
Yeah.
It's really good. And then the fact that Nintendo Power just kind of, those reviews are like lukewarm, I would say, like, 3.5 out of 5 more or less. It's like, what? You guys hate fighting games? You hate the Turtles? Like, what is the problem here, Nintendo Power?
Yeah. The play control, like, it's like every fighting game. You were going to have some, like, you're going to feel like sometimes your moves get eaten, but you just rebound from that. And
it's pretty fair here. Like, I'd say there's less instances where you might be missing or having your inputs eaten. Like, everything here doesn't feel like there was so many fighting games back in the day where you would play them and how sluggish it feels. Like, if moves aren't being, like your inputs are just getting eaten.
Yeah.
Tournament Fighters is not that.
No.
You pull off a move, and most of the time, if you're doing it right, you'll pull it off, and the moves aren't complicated. It's not like you're doing these, crazy, like, Z moves or something.
Killer Instinct combos.
Yeah. Like, this is very much inspired by Street Fighter 2, and it's one of the best, influences it could have. It's one of the best Street Fighter 2 knockoffs, if you want to call it that, that's available. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I always wanted to play this. Like, I mean, I never wanted to play you in Street Fighter, but I always seemed like I had a chance in Turtles.
Yeah, it's and the graphics are great in here. I think these sounds are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think these sound really great in here. The voice works great. This is just like such a great fighting game. I don't know, I don't know how many people have fondness for it, but I think they should give it a chance if they've never just thought to play this one.
And now there is that amazing mashup with Justice League.
That's right. We played that a while ago. Yeah.
That is a great time.
It's a fan game.
They made it even faster so Nintendo Power can eat their words. And it just pairs so well with, like, DC characters.
Yeah, it was from the Justice League game, right? Justice League Task Force.
Yeah,
sprites from there. It was like it's like what was it called? I think it was called TMNT versus Justice League. Is that what it was?
something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, and it was just like a tag team fighter, and it was so freaking fun. It was a fan game. You could find it online. Just Google it. It's worth playing because that is sort of like, if they had ever made a sequel to Tournament Fighters, I wish it would be that.
Yeah,
I don't think they ever will.
And it speaks to how good this one was. They used the Super Nintendo version when it comes to crossing it over.
Yeah, that was the base. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Because both Justice League and Tournament Fighters are on Sega, but they were like, no.
Yeah. And also, just to go back to the roster real quick, like there's, 10 to 12 characters in here. That's pretty robust.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tend to forget, like back then, you had 8 in Street Fighter 2 when it launched, and then you get 12, and then eventually Super had 16. It wasn't often to get a fighting game that was actually good with a diverse roster, because no one here really plays similarly to each other. Like maybe the Turtles have some familiarity with each other.
Not even really.
No, they all have different normal moves.
It's not like a Ryu and Ken palette swap.
Yeah, like they all feel pretty distinct despite their movesets. So this game, I don't know. It's just, I don't think it gets the love it deserves, frankly.
Yeah.
But by far, this is the best version of the three we're talking about. Any final words on that one, Deucy? Should we move on to our our final event here, our main event?
Let's get it over with.
All right, so we got the Genesis version. This one is, it's on the Genesis, so this one has 2 attack buttons and a taunt button that's really more or less useless. It only restores health in a tournament mode, which is like a survival mode. Each character has a killer attack and desperation move when you're at low health. So what this means is like when you're down to like 10% health, you pull off this button combo. It's usually pretty complex, I think. I forgot what it was. But if you nail it, it basically kills the opponent instantly. It's like the ultimate desperation move. The single player mode here has you fighting clones on different planets on Dimension X, or in Dimension X, I should say, to rescue Splinter from Krang. So it's really goofy. Like they're basically palette swaps. Like you might fight a turtle who's like, like teal or turquoise or something like that.
Purple. I fought a clone of Raph that was like purple.
Yeah, it's really
or fuchsia.
The art direction in this game is not pleasant, I would say, and it sucks because there are some really cool characters in here, and they're just in a bad fighting game. This is what I would expect Nintendo's Power Review to apply to.
Yes, actually.
Yeah. So you fight 8 clones, and you fight Tricerator, who's like, he's just like this really buff Triceratops who's he's a bipedal. He's like
the leader of the Triceratons, I think.
Yeah, he is.
Like the general or something.
That's right. Yeah. And then you fight Krang's android, which is Krang in his robot suit, and you fight Karai. This also has a 2-player mode and a practice mode, and then it has a tournament mode, which I mentioned earlier, but this one is really dumb. You have to beat 88 opponents with 1 life, which I can't imagine how you would do that in this game. It makes no sense.
No.
And there's 8 playable characters, so there's not that many, actually. There's very few. There's the 4 turtles, then you have Casey Jones, Ray Fillet, who's like this, what animal? He's like a manatee? He's like a humanoid manatee, right?
Something like that.
I don't know how to describe him.
Sea creature.
Sea creature.
Wasn't he recently in that new movie?
He was.
Yeah.
That's right. The Mutant Mayhem that we saw.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. April O'Neil's in here, and then Sisyphus. He's the original new character. He's like this alien beetle-looking thing.
Yep.
There's Triceraton, who's only a boss, and he's only playable in the Cowabunga collection.
Nice.
So there's 3 bosses here. There's Triceraton, Krang, and Karai. They're only playable in the Cowabunga collection. You can't use codes to unlock them in the original Genesis version. Reviews for this game before we dive in. EGM reviewed this in issue 53, December 1993. This was a sidebar review. They gave it a 6, 6, 6, 5, and 4. They said it's not even close to the Super Nintendo version with few moves and unappealing characters. I think they're right on the ball.
Yeah.
GamePro reviewed this, issue 53, December 1993. Graphics of 4, sound 4,
no.
Control 4.5, that's a no. Fun factor 4,
no.
They said good, but not as complex as Street Fighter 2 or the SNES Tournament Fighters. They thought the graphics were fine for Genesis, but they did not point out very many negatives and said it was second to Super Nintendo. There's a lot of negatives to this game.
It was second the way that some drivers in Formula 1 are second to like Max Verstappen.
Exactly. Yeah,
this is insane.
This is a really rough Genesis game. I think it's pretty ugly. It controls like crap. The single player is just, the AI reads your inputs. You have to cheap your way through it to finish it. Like I finished it and it was a nightmare.
I played 2 rounds, 2 characters. I've played against.
Now, was this the first time you played it? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, the first time. Okay.
So I played as Raphael, and I played against Sisyphus first. He is cheap.
Yes.
He has like this. It's like the 100 hand slap from E Honda, only faster, and he constantly uses it. And somehow his attacks always override yours if you don't hit him in a certain way or in a certain time. Like, and I feel that way about both enemies, because I then fought myself, a clone of Raph, and we were doing the same thing, but like his would always win. I'm like, what?
The AI really feels like it gets priority over your attacks.
Yeah.
I don't know if the specials are normally like that, because I never played 2-player to really figure it out, and it's not worth it. But the AI here is just cheap. This game, truthfully, just isn't very fun to play. I remember really wanting to play this back then because I enjoyed the Super Nintendo one so much. And this was the same thing as the Nintendo one, where it's just, I didn't see it for rent. I never saw it for sale. This may as well have been as obscure as the Nintendo one for me. So when I finally played it, I played it like an emulator years back, and I didn't like it then. So when I got on the Cowabunga collection, I was like, well, I'll try it for real this time, or see how I like it, and try to get through it, because I did get the achievement once again. And it's just not fun to play. It's just an awful, awful fighting game. There's much better options on the Genesis. Like, even with the compromises in like Mortal Kombat 2 or Super Street Fighter 2, there's just better games. Like, this is hard to recommend.
This feels like a slightly graphical upgrade to the Nintendo version.
Yeah.
Which would have made sense if this came out early in the Genesis life. But this is towards the end.
Yeah, 94. So, yeah. So I agree. Like, by 94, like, and it's like, I don't know what team developed this, but it's just there's such a disparity between the Super Nintendo one and this. Like, they don't look the same. They don't feel the same. This, to me, is just an objectively worse version of the game.
There was, when Raphael wins, he does this corny looking pose where he just stands and stares straight at the camera, but the top of his head above his mask looks like Red Foreman.
He's got like the baldness going,
yeah,
or something?
It's just this huge bald forehead, only it's green because he's a turtle. And the way he holds his size at his sides, they look rubber.
Yeah.
They sort of like bend out in a curved shape, and I'm like, this is like child's graphics. Like,
yeah, the sprites are pretty small. The backgrounds are just static and just uninspired. Like, they just feel so static and lifeless. It sucks because, like, I hate to talk so poorly about a Turtles game, but this is just not a fun one to play. Like, you'll check it out on the collection, but there's no way I could recommend this over the Super Nintendo one. Like, it's such a disappointment.
It's a shame because when I saw the character list before I played it, when I learned that it was different than Super, I was like, whoa, they get Casey Jones?
That's exactly my thought.
I would love to have him, April, even the Triceraton, like, and Krang. Like, I've always wanted to fight Krang's little robot body thing. Like, they just needed to be done in a better game.
Yeah, I agree, because that was the big appeal for me, was I'd seen Casey and April were in this, and I'd seen, again, screenshots, and I was like, that looks really awesome. And then you play it, and you're like, oh, this is not awesome. So I think, EGM scores where they gave 66654, that's perfectly right on the money. I think that's pretty reasonable. Like, I can't say this is a truly awful game.
I actually don't agree with that 4. That might be too low.
Yeah.
But also, 6s were fine.
5 or 6 is probably where I put it in the ballpark. I don't agree with GamePro's reviews at all. I think they're just a little bit too high. Like, this game is just, it's hard to find a truly great positive for it, because, like, I can't say that music's great. Like, usually for me, I'm like, oh, well, the music's fine for Genesis, or graphics. This just feels like it was maybe a rushed game. It just doesn't feel like a good fighting game.
I think, what's that series we watch on YouTube? The Nintendo versus Sega.
Console Wars?
Console Wars, yeah. I think they covered this.
I do think so, yeah.
And anytime the Sega version got a point, I was like,
nope.
No way in hell.
No way. Yeah. I agree, because they do stuff like, it's like graphics, presentation, controls, I think. Stuff like the basic kind of things we go through, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd agree. Like, if they ever gave 1 point to Genesis, I'd be hard-pressed to find what that positive point is.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like the Super Nintendo one just outshines this in spades. There's no way. It's really unfortunate. Like I said, I really wanted to like this game, but it's a rough time. I didn't play 2-player, but I like I said, I can't imagine it's much better. Like,
well, it might be like playing the 2-player on Nintendo where you're both suffering together.
yeah,
So
and
you'll both be laughing and having a funny time.
Yeah, and there's, the roster's pretty small, so it's like you'll probably be fighting each other pretty quickly anyway.
Yeah.
But I just feel like if it came down to it, if you and I had both versions when we were kids, it'd be like, yeah, we're just playing Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll do it. That's all the games we've covered for our part 2 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know if we'll do more. Maybe we could. Maybe we'll figure out we'll do the Game Boy games or something. Or,
oh yeah. I've just recently played those a little more. I always wanted Turtles 3 for Game Boy. And luckily you get to play that now in the Cowabunga collection. Mm-hmm. It's like a crazy Metroidvania for Turtles.
Yeah, I've never played. I got to play that on the collection. I haven't played much of the Game Boy games on there at all. I played everything else so far. And
then of course our love of Shredder's Revenge.
I'm always getting back into that.
We could cover that sometime.
I think we got to. Maybe we'll do that next. I don't know. We'll figure something out because I feel like that our Turtles saga isn't quite done.
There's a long gap though of stuff we didn't play, like all the later Turtles shows that were turned into games. We never played those on other systems.
Yeah, we were really outgrown by then. Like we were adults who thought Turtles wasn't as cool, and now we're way older thinking Turtles are cool. So we missed out on a lot. But also there was a lot that wasn't good in that era either. Like,
no, for sure.
Games were not notable like they were in the early years. So,
I think they tried to turn them into like 3D brawlers.
A lot of them were.
It did not work.
Yeah, but there were some cool Game Boy Advance ones too, like that TMNT movie one. Based on that 2001. That was actually a really good beat 'em up. And I think there's one more. I don't know if you showed it to me or someone else mentioned it. There's another beat 'em up that's supposed to be pretty good on there. I can't recall. But nonetheless, we'll figure something out. We'll do some more Turtles. And if anyone else out there has any Turtle memories or want to give us any suggestions, please email us at legiongamingpod@gmail.com. If you really want to get to us, the best way is to Instagram, where you can see all the cool stuff we post at Legion Gaming Podcast. Deucy, any final words for our Turtle Fest?
Everyone out there, tonight you should all dine on turtle soup.